Hi, it's Maggie the Irish Gypsy here to bring you your November 2018 general readings. Thank you for joining us here today. Welcome to any newcomers. Thank you for those of you who continue to follow my YouTube channel and for all your likes and shares and subscribes and support and feedback and comments. Thank you to all of my clients out there uh, who are keep me so busy in reaching out for personal one-on-one readings. It's an honor and a pleasure to read for you always. I thank you so much for keeping me so busy there. And if any of you are interested in a personal one-on-one reading with me and you've never read with me before, you've forgotten the information, you can get more info and contact details by going to my YouTube channel's homepage, clicking on the little About button there, or you can click on the description bar of any of the videos that I post for more information. Please feel free to contact me directly by emailing me at maggie1maguire@gmail.com. I'd be delighted to work with you. I do a wide variety of readings in all areas of life. And turnaround time is usually pretty fast as I do readings full time, 5 to 6 days a week. It is what I do. So if you're interested, send me an email and we'll go from there. I work pretty diligently at your schedules to get you a reading as quickly as possible. All right, let's move right into this. This reading is for the fire sign of Sagittarius for the month of November 2018. If you know your rising and moon sign videos, watch those as well. It can provide additional clarification. General readings always resonate a little differently for everybody watching. All right, Sagittarius, let's see what's in store for you for November 2018. Okay, Sagittarius, we begin with the Wheel of Fortune. Great way to start out, followed by death or transformation. Wow. We have the Hermit, followed by the Two of Wands. Next to that, we have the Emperor, followed by the Seven of Cups. And at or towards the end of the month, we have the Six of Wands, followed by the Sun. Well, you wrap it up with a bang, Sagittarius. From the bottom of the deck, your overall energy and guidance for the month is the Hanging Man. Kind of makes sense because looks like there's a lot of quiet, maybe some contemplation energy throughout the majority of the month until the end. I am recording these videos in the last few days of October. Of course, general readings timing is always fluid, but more so in general readings. Some of you, this energy may be starting a little bit at the end of October or so, and some of you it might be a little bit later. So your overall energy and guidance for the month of November 2018, Sagittarius, is the Hanging Man. Major Arcana card. This is a card, it can represent feeling like you're just hanging there in stasis, in limbo, that there isn't, movement going on in some area of your life that you want there to be movement going on. I know that sometimes in life we can feel in some situations that sometimes like there isn't any movement where we want movement. It's not actually true. Energy is always moving. Energy is always fluctuating. Energy is always working. But sometimes the results of it or the manifestations of it aren't apparent at a certain time, especially when we want it. And so it feels like there's no motion. I can't talk today. It feels like there's no motion or movement in it. What this area of your life is, it's going to resonate differently for everybody. But the Hanging Man represents that while there may not feel like stasis or movement, you have to remember that there's divine timing and orchestration at play here. Things are still being worked out. Not everything is known as well, too. The Hanging Man withdraws or hangs by a certain, in a certain way. He's hanging upside down in what looks to be an uncomfortable or awkward position. But he understands that this is transitional and this is temporary. Things are still at play. There's still divine timing and orchestration. And even though he may feel like he wants to jump in and force an outcome or rush an outcome or a certain resolution of something, he hangs there without struggling because he understands that things need to play out as they need to play out, and rushing in and orchestrating things according to his design may actually, really bugger things up or ruin things in a sense. So there can be a certain kind of self-sacrifice to the hanging man, particularly in the temporary or in the short term. It can represent, allowing things to kind of play out, even though you're hoping maybe for a certain resolution. You want to like kind of get in there and maybe influence things, but things are still playing out. So it's all about kind of withdrawing and allowing things to continue playing out. Divine timing and orchestration. I don't feel like it's the time to kind of, at least the majority of the month, doesn't look like it's the time to kind of rush in and force anything, because things are still kind of moving in a certain way and they need to. It looks like there may have been some pretty significant endings or a pretty significant ending in your life, either now or in the recent past. We do begin with the Wheel of Fortune and Death. Major Arcana energy. We have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 major Arcana cards. No, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, 6 major Arcana cards in the spread. So major Arcana cards represent God, Spirit, your angels, and guides, energies we have no control over. But when a lot of them show up in a reading, it can represent that, it can be a pretty significant time for changes or life shifts, or the opportunities for those. The Wheel of Fortune is one of those cards. It represents, a stroke of good luck, of good fortune, at least in the upright. That's the strong implication. It represents that forces outside of our control, something, divine timing and orchestration, again, at play here. Working for us. In the upright position, the implication is usually that something's positive, that it's a stroke of good fortune, a blessing. Now it's clarified by death or transformation. I don't often see this combination, but sometimes I do. Death usually represents an ending of some kind, or the complete and utter transformation of something from one thing into another. And death usually represents the clearing out of the ground completely, so that something new can be planted, sown, and begin to manifest and grow, or be completely transformed, because what it is not what it's meant to be, because birth follows death. In every ending, there are the seeds for the next beginning. That's the way that life flows. And often when death comes up as representing an ending, it usually represents that whatever is ending is old. It's been there for quite some time, and it's time for it to go once and for all. So this can play out a couple of different ways. Sagittarius, this could be, for some of you, there may have been an ending which may have been or is difficult for you. It may be challenging for you. The fact that it's crowned by the Wheel of Fortune means that it is a blessing. It might be, what's termed sometimes as a blessing in disguise. You may not be able to see it until more time has passed. Because it looks like divine timing and orchestration is at play in whatever this ending or this transformation is. Even though it may have been challenging, or it may be challenging, it may have caused some grief for you. And for the time being, it may feel like there's something has ended or is ending, and there isn't anything you can do about it. This sense of being the hanging man here. But again, divine timing and orchestration appears to be heavily at play for you this month, or that's the advice and guidance. Stand back and let divine energy do what it needs to do, what it's meant to do, what it's basically going to do, whether you like it or not. This is your time to just kind of take a step back while things are playing out, while divine timing and orchestration is playing out, and do some inner thinking, some thinking. Thinking is always inner, right? Do some, maybe go inward, take a step back, maybe even get away or go on retreat. Maybe kind of hold off on the social stuff for the first few weeks to kind of contemplate some things, particularly about where you might be going from here on out, particularly thinking about what your long-term focus and goals are, which is what the next two cards represent, the Hermit and the Two of Wands. The Hermit. What do hermits do? Hermits, monks, monastics, what do? They withdraw from the distractions of conventional society, either for a short period of time or for a long period of time. Why do they do this? They do this to seek out wisdom, insight, guidance, reflect, contemplate. And they use the result of that. They use their life's wisdom so far, their life's experience, what they learn or see in contemplation. They use that as the light to guide their way through something, to find their way through something. So it can be a card about maybe taking a step back, maybe not being quite so social for a little bit while you're thinking, you're contemplating, perhaps what has ended and what is lying in front of you. What clarifies the Hermit is the Two of Wands, which is a card about being at a crossroads, needing to choose a path. Which way do I go? Do I go left? Do I go right? The key to choosing the right path, or the key to choosing the path that's best for you to take right now, is in long-term thinking and planning. It's about looking down the road and making your decision on where to go, not based perhaps on just the ending or what's going on in your present, but asking yourself, in whatever area of your life this is resonating in this area of my life, what do I really want long-term down the road? If this is job, work, and career, where do I want to be 5 years, 10 years down the road? If this is the relationship area of your life, what kind of a relationship do I want to find myself in 3 years down the road, 5 years down the road, 15 years down the road? And that makes the path to getting there, which means the decisions and the actions you take, a little easier. And so it's about, after this ending or during this ending period, maybe when it feels like nothing else is happening, it's the perfect time for you to step back, to go within, to seek out some wisdom, insight, guidance, ask for help, and looking ahead at what you want down the road in your future in this area of your life. And be realistic and grounded about that too, which is what the next two cards represent. We have the Emperor and the Seven of Cups. So the Emperor is the traditional patriarch, if you will, of the tarot. He's the traditional sort of stern-ish father figure of the tarot. He's the Emperor. He has a great big huge job. He's the empire. He has an entire empire to run. Bigger even than the kings and queens, because they have kingdoms that they're in charge of, that they're responsible for. But the emperor has a whole collection of kingdoms, an entire empire. And that's, 10 billion details and things which need to run in order for everything and everyone to work together and to benefit. So he's a very measured, thoughtful, contemplative person. He does not act spontaneously or impulsively or let his emotions make decisions for him. They might influence and guide him, but they don't make the decisions for him. He pays attention to detail. The emperor lives in a world where, all the planes and trains and buses need to run on time, and so that's 1,001 details and delegating to 1,000 other people and just making sure that everything flows. So it can be about structure, being structured, being responsible, being accountable, paying attention to detail, not making any spontaneous or impulsive or hasty decisions, particularly about, your long-term future and your long-term goals. And if those of you that are going through an ending process, a lot of emotions can come up, which is normal and natural. Just make sure that it's not those emotions that make decisions on where you're going to go next, or how your life is going to shift next, because you need to be kind of realistic in your contemplation too. And the Emperor is that guidance card about manifesting that Emperor energy and not allowing perhaps a temporary or a short-lived sense of sadness or grief or challenge to kind of make those decisions for you, which you might regret later on down the road. So be realistic about what you're thinking about and about your long-term goals, because the Emperor is clarified by the Seven of Cups, which is a completely different energy from the Emperor. The Seven of Cups is a card that has kind of a dreamy energy to it. It's dreamy, illusionary, maybe fantasy-based, daydreaming, fantasizing about something, wishful thinking. Nothing wrong with that. Each one of these seven goblets represents potential, a promise, a goal, a desire, a wish. And each one of them may, in fact, be quite recognizable, meaning that you may be able to manifest it, but not all of them. This card sometimes has the energy, for me, of like the young person who wants to be a doctor one week and an astronaut the next week and a ballerina the next week. And each of those goals, which is achievable through hard work, most of the time through hard work and perseverance, but not all of them. So it's a card which can be a card of considering multiple different options and potential and promise. But it's a card with a cautionary advice about being realistic and grounded about it as well. And clarifying the Emperor, that would be even stronger energy as well to when you're going through this contemplation phase. We don't want to rush in there and try and force things or move things, because things are still working out. Divine timing and orchestration is at play here. Think about your long-term goals. Be realistic about those as well. Be kind of grounded about those. You don't want to waste time wanting something to manifest that isn't possible, perhaps in a relationship or in a job, that isn't realistic for that particular relationship or that particular job, and then spend a lot of time waiting for that or hoping for that or wanting that when it's not really realistic. And the Seven of Cups is right next to the Two of Wands too. And I feel like in choosing your long-term goals, you need to look at that area of your, whatever area of your life this is manifesting, and you need to look at that area, at what you have currently in that area of your life in a realistic way. Is the relationship I'm in the relationship I want to still be in 5 years down the road? If it's not, is it moving in that direction? If it's not, is it possible? Am I being realistic about that? If not, then re-examination is needed. So it's that kind of energy, regardless of what area of your life it's manifesting in. Now, doing all of that, Sagittarius, there's a lovely, beautiful shift of energy at or towards the end of November 2018. We're also in the holiday season too. In the United States, we have Thanksgiving that's around the last third of November as well. So we have the Six of Wands and the Sun. This is fantastic energy, and I think, was it Leo who had this energy as well? They had, I think, no, they had the Nine of Cups and the Knight of Cups, but they had the Sun in their reading too. They might have had the Six of Wands, I don't remember. Anyway, it was a few readings ago. Six of Wands and the Sun at or towards the end of November 2018. The Six of Wands is a card of victory and triumph, significant victory and triumph. This isn't like, oh, I tied my shoes well today, both my socks match. This is like significant, recognizable victory and triumph. It's triumph and success over something significant. Triumph over a battle, a challenge of some kind, something that you struggled with, something that was difficult for you. So it's a card about being victorious over that. And the crowds can represent also public recognition. It can represent winning an award, a promotion, a bonus, being publicly or visibly acknowledged in some way as well. Now, what clarifies that is the Sun, which is a beautiful card. It is, in my opinion, the most powerfully influential card in the deck. With its positivity. And when you think about the actual sun, when it comes out, it shines over everything. It affects everything. It encourages green things to grow. When the sun comes out, you always feel a little bit better. It's darkness into light, winter into spring, sickness into health. Previously restrictive energies lessening up or lifting completely. An element of fun and fun in the sun as well. Maybe an increased social activity too. When the sun comes out in a spread, it affects all the cards in the spread. It automatically boosts all the positive energy in the surrounding cards, and challenging energies it can lessen and sometimes even negate or lessen greatly that negative or challenging energy too, or makes things which are very difficult a little less difficult, which is helpful because it does look like a lot of you are going through, some pretty significant ending in your life or recently. There may be some grief and sadness about that, which is understandable. You're being advised to, or you are looking ahead at long-term goals. Where do I go from here? Be realistic about that and make sure that the decisions you choose, you make, the paths that you choose and the things that you set into motion are based on careful thought and contemplation, and not completely decided by or controlled by your emotions and feelings, particularly in the now if you're struggling with emotions too. And then we have success and victory at the end of the month, and I feel like a lot of you are going to be celebrating or feeling like you've won a victory over something, whether that's an emotional or psychological issue in your life, or a bad breakup, or difficulty within your financial structure. And I feel like that's also coming, that's a lovely energy coming on the heels of the mindful path. And when I say the mindful path, I mean the path that you walk with the decisions and choices that you make being what Spirit is advising you to do, which is, at least for the first maybe half to 2/3 of the month, not going in and doing something as a result of how you feel about this ending, or wanting to rush an outcome or manipulate or influence a specific outcome that you want. Understand that God, Spirit, your angels and guides are working here. There are things that are not maybe completely known at this time. Things are still working out, and you need to let them You need to let them kind of unfold as they're meant to. And then that's when this beautiful energy comes in at or towards the end of November, Sagittarius. Interesting reading, boy. Yours in Aries was kind of intense, but I love the way that ends for you, Sagittarius. Okay, Sag, that represents your reading for November 2018. I hope that you found it helpful and useful. Again, if any of you are interested in a more personal one-on-one reading with me, you can get more info and my contact details by clicking on the little About button on my YouTube channel's homepage, or click on the description bar of any of the videos I post. Please feel free to email me directly at Maggie1McGuire@gmail.com. I would be most happy to work with you, set up a reading as quickly as possible. I do love and romance, career work and finance, investment readings, relationship compatibility charting, reconciliation spreads, 6 and 12-month overviews, and gift readings as well. I also do channeled messages from past on loved ones as long as there was a good emotional connection with the person. So I will see you all again in a couple of weeks, Sagittarius, for the November 2018 mid-month readings. And until then, as always, I wish you joy, peace, blessings, and a happy life. Take care, and I hope to see you back here again soon. Bye.